filed.
Oh, okay.
Testing, testing.
I don't know what is trim.
Hello. Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, got it.
Okay, all right.
In case 8903, our annual examination of the Electric Universal Service Program, and
Good morning, Chair Hoover, members of the Commission, Annette Garofalo, Harrison Shear, and Alexandra Lee, appearing today on behalf of Commission staff. Staff has filed comments in this matter, and Mr. Lee is available to answer any questions you may have regarding staff's position. However, first, we would like to, this is maybe a little unusual for us, but we'd like to make a point of praising OHEP for its activities during the past year and for its its actions going forward as presented in its plan. OHEP has begun its second year of categorical eligibility and is now serving additional persons who are renters for whom certain barriers to application for EUSP have been eased to enable low-income persons to qualify more easily. In addition, OHEP is newly involved in a critical medical needs pilot program. OHEP proposes to meet its needs for the programs which it administers, including arrearage assistance, using statutory funding, funds from Cove Point, and the monies gained from the auction proceeds of the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. Staff recommends the Commission approve OHEP's budget as it applies to ratepayers, which funding will be directed entirely to bill payment assistance, and to approve OHEP's budget as a whole. In light of OHEP's increased participation and last year's resulting lower benefit in an effort to provide benefits, the Commission may wish to consider requesting that OHEP file periodic reports with the Commission in order to track problems and expenditures more closely. And Mr. Lee can talk more precisely about what exactly you might want to look for there. Staff recommends the Commission approve OHEP's proposed budget, as already stated, and as set forth in staff's comments. Mr. Lee will discuss the reports suggested by staff and is available to answer any questions you may have.
okay,
Thank you.
go ahead.
Okay. Okay, I'll just read through this then. So on August 22nd, OHEP filed its proposed operations plan, and then on August 28th, OHEP filed a revised operations plan. In 1999, the General Assembly created the EUSP, which has three components: bill assistance, arrearage assistance, and weatherization. OHEP administers the bill assistance and arrearage component, and the weatherization is administered by DHCD. EUSP provides bill assistance to customers with annual incomes at or below 175% of the federal poverty level, or those that qualify as categorically eligible households that receive benefits from SNAP, SSI, TANF, or Veterans Affairs benefits. And the maximum amount that can be collected from ratepayers per the statute is $37 million. So the bulk of the EUSP funds, they flow through the bill assistance component. So OHEP's 2026 program year extends from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. OHEP doesn't propose any legislative changes in its 2026 plan. It just continues to adapt to the impacts of categorical eligibility by updating its systems and automating applications and expediting the process for categorical eligible households. It makes a mention in its operations plan of SB 171, HB 139, which was effective October 2024, and it mandated that landlords with 5 or fewer tenants whose tenants pay utilities through rent must supply the renters with the necessary billing information. So that that was just something that was mentioned in their plan. OHEP also mentioned that they launched the Critical Medical Needs Pilot Program in partnership with Utility Advisors, which has processed 300 applications so far at the time of OHEP's filing, and it's going to continue until October 2025. So compared with 2024, the applications for bill payment, arrearage, and MEEP have decreased while enrollments have increased. So that means that there's a higher ratio of households that are being served this year compared to the last. OHEB projects spending 187,400,000, which funded. So yeah, it's 187 million. It's funded 37 million from ratepayers, and 150 million from Reggie, and then the state special funds from Cove Point it just stays 400,000. So additional money is going to be available from LIHEAP/MEEP, as you know. The OHEP's operations plan proposes allocating 30,000 for arrearage assistance from Reggie, and 144 million to bill payment assistance from a combination of the ratepayer, the 37 in ratepayer money, and then Reggie. So, some money for arrearage and then some money for bill assistance. And the bill assistance is the combo funding. MEEP will supplement bill assistance funding for electric heating customers. Additional projected expenses include 9 million for EUSP, or $9,028,626 for administration. That's in their revised plan, the current one you're looking at. The original plan, they asked for 7,044,704. So besides the 9 million in administration, they're asking for 200,000 in supplemental outreach expenses, 740,000 for data management, and they're also requesting for 2.5 million to complete energy efficient measures through that MOU with DHCD. So their operations plan would spend 77% on direct bill assistance, and if you include arrearage, then a total of 93% of their funding is going to go directly towards customer energy assistance, with leaving the other 7% for stuff like administration, outreach, data management. OHIP notes in its plan that it's going to continue to use the same formula-based approach, to calculate benefits based on individual household income. And I've mentioned the administrative bit. It's 70. Let's see. So this year, they're asking for 9 million. Last year, they asked for 8.5 million, and then the year before that, it was 4.9 million. So admin has been increasing, but all the category eligibility, staff supports this. OHEP also proposed allocating 200,000 for outreach, as mentioned, 740 as for data system costs. So OHEP, as you know, or as was mentioned, has undergone a major transformation since categorical eligibility, has spent considerable funds towards streamlining its applications. Staff had concerns last year about OHEP's ability to maintain the adequate benefit amounts, just making sure that the grants are still, meeting the needs while continuing to meet needs, yeah. So, for the past 10 years, from 2013 to 2023, they had about 143 applications every year, pretty much. But then in category eligibility in 2024, it shot up from 143,000 to 243,000. And that's 70% higher than the baseline. And this year, or the most recent data that they filed, it went, as I said, from 143 to 243,000, and then back down to 174,000. And that was due in part to system improvements that denied the duplicate applications, but still applications are 22% higher than that baseline that I was saying. So since 2023, the average bill assistance amounts dropped from 939 to 627, and now in 2025, 548. So you see that bill assistance been going down. The average arrearage benefit amounts have also decreased, whereas they used to be in 2023 1,000. The average grant for arrearage was 1,119. Then it dropped to 1,032, and then as of 2025, it went down to 974. So for this reason, staff just thought that the commission may wish to request that that OHEP provide semi-annual updates on applications, enrollments, grants amounts, if it so wishes. So just staff recommends that we approve the OHEP's allocation for Reggie funds for administration, 9 million, and then what do you call it? OHEP's allocation from Reggie to data system cost 740,000. Funds for outreach, 200,000. Funds for energy efficiency measures, 2.5 million. Fund allocation for arrearage retirement, 30 million. Bill payment assistance from Reggie, 107 million, and then ratepayer funds for bill payment assistance, 37 million. That's it. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
Okay, Commissioner Barve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for your report. It didn't say so explicitly, but I have to say I'm very happy to see that the law with respect to master metered tenants appears to be working. It didn't say so explicitly, but it seems like it's working pretty smoothly, and that master metered tenants are getting the benefits that they had been lacking prior to the legislation. Is that fair to say?
Do you want to comment? Well, I think that probably remains to be seen. I think if you're referring to that SB HB one with that mandates that the
Right.
tenants that I think for that I didn't personally see any how do you call it, any discussion about its efficacy
Okay.
in the report or in the plan.
Okay. Well then, maybe People's Counsel or somebody else might have a comment about that, so I'll ask them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Linton, or Commissioner, yeah. Commissioner Linton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. So a couple of my questions hopefully won't be outdated, but a couple of years ago, the staff was one of the parties that was supportive of removing the requirement that customers enroll in USPP as a part of participating in EUSP, so that their money would have to be applied on a monthly basis as opposed to a lump sum. That process stopped a couple of years ago, and I'm curious, has it been working? Have customers been satisfied since then, or is it something that, like I said, it was probably a little outdated, but has the process been working? Has staff seen any benefit?
So I'm the only one at the table who was here
Yeah.
2 years ago. So I don't remember that we were advocating for that, but apparently it is part of regulations now. I have not heard. So all I can say is I have not heard any problems with it. But it probably, if OHEP were here and you asked them the same question, they would probably say it is making their life a little easier, because every time the General Assembly goes into session, they think of something else that would be helpful to low-income customers, but they don't think about adding new funds to the company, and so they have one reason we're praising them is that they're doing a really great job of balancing the ball, and I'm sure that includes the USPP funding.
Okay. All right. I was curious about that. But with regard to what we've been talking about now, with the current, the most recent year, one of the reasons why we have EUSP is to make sure our customers aren't losing service from utility collection activity. So have we been seeing that part of it work? Have customers been keeping service on? Are utility companies still, or do we still see some trending in one way or another that customers are losing power because they're unable to pay their bills?
I think we might have to go back and check the data that we have on terminations. I don't think they have gotten worse, and of course, the intervention of no terminations during COVID, during the COVID period, has probably had some effect that was positive. I mean, to the extent it had any positive effects, that would have been one of them. But we can check on that for you.
Okay. Yeah, it certainly skewed the data in one direction because utilities couldn't deny service.
Right.
But I believe some of those protections have since expired.
They have. Mhm.
So I was just curious to know if we're giving enough money to help customers keep the bills on, or have we been seeing trends one way or the other, suggesting that customers are not able to maintain their service even though we're giving the grant assistance.
I'm told we have an answer.
all right.
Well, I can say something maybe. Just to say that terminations did go down a little, like slightly. It went from I think like 1,000 to like 900, something like that. The majority of terminations are still coming from BGE. Like 90% of the terminations are BGE. But it seems, yeah, they're going down. I will say though that from the USPP data, arrearages are going back up. And that's the default. The majority of the USPP people, they have that equal payment plan. Those arrearages have been going up. I think like 500 to like 650, something like that. It's going back like that.
Okay, so I guess that leads me to my second question then. The USPP program was supposed to help customers reconnect. That was one of the benefits of it. So do we see those customers who are losing service reconnecting, using both the money from EUSP and whatever other assistance the state offers? Have we been seeing any trends either way?
I mean, I would say,
Actually, so you'll get your turn, so why don't
Yeah.
you just hold it for right now? So, yeah.
okay, I'm glad OHEP's here. No, I guess all I would just say is that I think USPP doesn't go so much into the reconnections. It just talks about, changes in arrearages or terminations. But as for reconnections, I don't think I know.
Okay. I was just to be clear, I was asking staff because the commission does collect this data. So.
Right. We will
so-
go back and get
Yeah.
some. We might send you the question first that we think you're asking,
Sure,
and
that's
then we'll try and give you an answer.
Sure, that's fine. I appreciate it. I'll save my other question. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, so Mr. McLean.
Mr. Lee, you said terminations have gone down slightly. Over what period of time are you talking?
The past year.
Just the past calendar year?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. I don't think there's any questions for me, so thank you very much. And let me turn now to the Office of People's Counsel.
Good morning, Chair Hoover. Good morning, Commissioners. For Sheldro with Nicole Zeichner for OPC. Staff has already provided the numbers and background for the proposed operation plan for OHAP's fiscal year 2026. Staff has also provided the program summary for 2025 fiscal year. So OPC will delve straight into our comments and our recommendation to the Commission. OPC has 4 primary recommendations. OHAP anticipates that the number of EUSP applicants will substantially increase due to the recent improvement in the OHAP application processing system, combined with the rising energy bills and other economic factors. However, the proposed plan does not specify the additional funding required to fully meet this projected demand. The Commission should request that OHAP provide a detailed analysis of the funding necessary to serve all eligible households with the anticipated increase in the number of EUSP applicants, along with methodology used to calculate this amount. Having this information is critical to advancing EUSP's program goals and will enable the Commission to prepare a more accurate and comprehensive annual report for the General Assembly. Without such data, the Commission will lack the information needed to report effectively on program performance and funding adequacy. With a detailed analysis of the funding to serve all eligible households in the fiscal year 2026 from OHAP, including the anticipated increase in the number of applicants, the Commission will be equipped to request additional funding for the program from the General Assembly to better serve all eligible applicants without reducing the amount of funds for each household. Secondly, the OHEP system improvements are commendable. In addition to that, OPC recommends that the Commission should ask OHEP to explore additional measures to improve its administration by enhancing its customer service, by adding text messages and mobile application notification to alert applicants about missing documents, benefit approval, or missing or payment posting. These enhancements will reduce delays and increase customer satisfaction with the program. For vulnerable households such as the senior families with infants and medically fragile residents, the Commission should also help to consider implementing a case management model where applicants with multiple needs, such as high arrearages, repeated disconnection threats, would be assigned a caseworker who coordinates benefits, connects them with a wraparound service, and follows up regularly. This will improve retention, prevent repeated crises, and reduce the administrative burden of repeat applications. For reporting, the launch of the OHEP public dashboard represents a good step toward accountability. However, its utility could be expanded beyond reporting statewide totals. OPC noticed that OHEP provides county reporting, but this could be expanded to include utility-specific data for each county, looking at the average benefit levels, disconnection prevention outcomes, and I'm glad that one of our commissioners mentioned the data, and it seems that it's not even provided. So with this reporting system, it can be this utility-specific data can be added to give us a clear picture of what is going on. This will enable policymakers and advocates to identify regional disparities and target outreach more effectively. This would not increase administrative costs such information is available during the application process. In addition, reporting could be expanded to include measurable outcomes, such as percentage reduction in utility shutoffs among the EUSP participants, the number of households who remain connected to energy service after 6 or 12 months, and how many EUSP households were connected to weatherization or solar opportunities. This information can also be collated at the close of each application without increasing administrative costs. And the final recommendation is that the Commission should require that the General Assembly allocate additional funds to DHS to scale up energy efficiency measures implemented by DHCD, as the proposed allocation for weatherization and energy efficiency represents a relatively small share of the overall USP allocation compared to the scale of need. And with that, we are available for any questions.
Yay, Commissioner McLean.
Good morning. Your case management or your caseworker proposal, is that something that OHEP's going to be able to do with their current personnel, or will that require additional bodies?
I don't believe that this will require additional bodies. OHEP is already doing the critical medical needs. So we can allocate one caseworker who will be in charge of specific household who has a number of needs, so that it will be easier for them to process it and do follow-ups. So having an additional worker is just an addition to what OHEP is already doing.
Okay. All right. Last question. On page 16, you're requesting that OHEP pursue a more comprehensive strategy that ties immediate financial relief to sustainable reductions in household energy use. Do you have any specific recommendations on that?
So with local weatherization programs, they have a lot of weatherization and energy efficiency programs that is ongoing. So our proposal is that additional measures could be explored rather than doing only the solar opportunities. So if they can have a table discussion with local agencies to look at other weatherization programs to help with the energy efficiency measures, it will be recommendable.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Linton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. So you did make several recommendations for administrative improvements at at OHEP. Have you shared them with OHEP already? And if so, what response did you get?
This has not been shared with OHEP. We talked to our personnel who is part of the board to understand what is happening in OHEP and to make to be able to understand how we can better help OHELP. So this has not been shared. We just talked to the personnel, the person in OPC who is on the advisory board for OHELP to better understand so that we can come up with this recommendation.
Okay. So I know, I think it was somewhere in one of the comments that the OHEP has continued to operate the advisory board.
Yes.
And I know OPC is a part of that. Do you know if your representative has been, and maybe OHEP started the conversation, but has there been an effort to raise these concerns at the board level and discuss it there, where I guess other parties would have been able to hear it as well?
Not yet. She mentioned that the data is something that is commendable, and already OHELP is already doing the county data. So adding this to it will be good for it. But she did not mention that it has been discussed at the advisory level.
Okay. All right. Regarding your recommendations about insufficient funding and the very likely increase in applications we'll get if we're not getting them already, I agree with you that that's likely to happen, especially with the many challenges we're having with the federal government and those folks who are working there, or were working there. There is a practical challenge there, though. We have some funding challenges of our own here in state government. So you're suggesting that we the commission encourage the General Assembly to try and bring additional funding to the EUSP program. Does OPC have any thoughts of, I won't say where the money should come from, but well, I guess that is the ultimate question. Where should the money come from?
So, Commissioner Linton, we don't have a recommendation as to where the money should come from, and we realize the state's challenges right now, but our thought is that it's the Commission's role to advise the General Assembly in this regard, and the General Assembly is frankly going to do with that information what it pleases or what it can. But I think right now the Commission can take a role in saying, look, this is our area of expertise, and we know that more money is needed, and this is the amount of money that we think is needed. And I agree that OPC does not have a recommendation as to where the money should come from. We realize what's happening in the state, but we do think the reporting or the recommendation is necessary.
All right, I have other questions, but I'm saving them for OHEP, so thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was a little surprised to hear you say that they don't require additional staffing. Do you know how many hours a week the current staff works?
8 hours. No, for the week, for 8 hours per day. So the week will be
40.
40, yes.
So they'd have to do overtime. You know what? I'll ask OHEP about that. I honestly don't see, I agree with you fundamentally, but I don't see how they can accomplish these things with the number of people that they have. I think if we were to advise the legislature anything, I think we would have to advise them to put more people in that agency, I think. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so if I could return to the question that Commissioner Linton raised about having us recommend to the General Assembly that they put more money in the pot, so to speak. My concern is, and while I'm not opposed to doing that, my concern is that the answer is going to be, one, there's the cupboard is bare, and if we try to go after general funds, because of the economic situation, stuff happening at the federal government and other things. So it strikes me that the only pool of money that's available is the CEF money, and I suspect their response would be that, well, we've already done that. So are you advocating that we should suggest some adjustment in the amount of CEF money that's allocated to serving this part of it? Because I know, there's a statutory allocation, so we'd have to ask the General Assembly to make changes to that, but doing that takes money away from MEA for the other stuff that they do.
And Mr. Chairman, we're not recommending that at that time. Our thought is always, if this can be done in a way that doesn't involve ratepayer funds or take away from other very important programs, we recognize those are all very important programs, then that would be ideal. But we understand the problem, and we realize that in a way this may be a message that is not able to be received at this time, or is not received at this time. But we think that the commission is the expert in this area, and it's appropriate to push for it, even if the state were to say there's just no more money available. But I understand, we do understand the concern.
Okay.
I think I will also add that if OHEP is able to provide detailed information on the increase that they are anticipating, it will give the commission a general idea of how to reallocate the monies that has already, even the funds that has already been provided to OHEP. So if OHEP gives us a percentage that they anticipate 10% increase in this year's 2026, the fiscal year 2026, then the commission has a better idea of how much they are going to spend or how much is needed. Then from there, the commission can move to advising the General Assembly as to how much is needed and how much, whether to do an internal reallocation of the funds.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh.
Thank you. Just one other question to follow up then. We have currently OHEP's proposal for allocation of the funds they have right now. Is it OPC's position that this allocation, the amounts that OHEP has proposed, is adequate, or if there's no more money available anywhere else and the budget we have from OHEP is the budget we got, should we move money around to cover this perceived and potential and very likely increase, or should we leave it as it is?
So in OHAP's recommendation, they did mention that there was going to be an increase, but they don't mention the percentage of the increase they are anticipating. That's one of the concerns that we raised. So with the number that is supposed to, the anticipated increase, it will help the commission to better understand how to apportion the funds or apportion the allocation that has been made by OHEP.
So OHEP's here. They're going to come up in a few moments. If they come up and tell us that they're anticipating a 30% increase in applications, should we leave the arrearage retirement budget as it is, the administrative budget as it is, or should we move something around?
I believe it's best, considering everything, to either move something around or seek for additional funding, which I know has become a difficult subject to push. So moving around stuff in the budget would be a great idea to be able to better serve all eligible applicants. Because if it happens that way, we'll end up with less money and people will get lower funds, or people will get the application that they made, they will get inadequate funds to be able to help them. It will go back to the same problem, utility shutoffs and other things that the law was trying to prevent.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me have the representatives from
Okay.
DHS and OHEP come forward. And if you could, for the sake of the court reporter, when you introduce yourself, spell your names for him. So.
That must be directed to me. I'm joking. My name is Augustine Nawaganimana. The spelling for the first name is Augustin. Last name is N as Nancy, T as Tom, Abaganyimana. Okay, and I am the executive director for farm investment at DHS.
My name is Courtney Thomas Winterberg, Courtney Thomas -Winterberg. and I am the acting director of the Office of Home Energy Programs.
So, if you want to make any comments on what the other parties have said, or if you got any comments you want to make, just on yourself, feel free.
Yeah, I think it's best that probably we begin with some short opening remarks and then take questions.
Okay.
So the Maryland Department of Human Services Office of Home Energy Programs proposed operations plan serves as the implementation guide for EUSP for fiscal year 26. Our mission is to help limited income Marylanders reduce their energy burden, and our plan reflects our commitments to this mission through 5 goals: providing bill assistance, arrearage retirement, and education to limited income Marylanders, ensuring families at risk can maintain their electric service, prioritizing households with the highest energy burdens, and using targeted holistic approaches to make electricity costs more affordable, while expanding education and conservation awareness to help families achieve long-term stability. We value our partnership with the Maryland Public Service Commission and our utility partners in ensuring that limited income Marylanders have access to the benefits that they need and deserve. And we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, anything? Does that suffice for the opening remark?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Linton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. So I guess I'll start with the last question I asked to the Office of People's Counsel regarding funding allocation. Both the People's Counsel and myself, we do agree on the point, and I think that OHEP does as well, that there's the potential and or very likelihood that you'll have an increase in applications because of a number of factors which we already know about. The question now is, to the extent you can, are you able to estimate what type of increase you're expecting, if any?
What I would say briefly is that the state plan that was submitted took into account a very good estimate of what we think our demand is going to be. Of course, things can change in the middle of the year, and we're gonna do those issues as they come up. But right now, our proposed budget, was based, and benefit levels was based on the available budget. So we do not anticipate running out of money in the middle of the year unless something drastic happens, in which case we're just gonna have to come to you and engage others in that conversation and figure out how to meet that demand if it comes up.
Okay, so we're already, your fiscal year started in July. So we are, August, January, 3-4 months in. I'm a lawyer, so the math takes a minute. So 3 or 4 months in to figure out. So we have a little bit of enrollment history already. Have you been seeing an increase or year over year?
So we are seeing an increase over this time last year. We have about 66,000 applications that have been received as of yesterday at 5 p.m.
Okay, and this time 12 months ago?
It was closer to 50,000 applications.
Okay, so I'll lean on my colleague, Commissioner Bouvard, Commissioner Kumar, excuse me, to let me. I'm sorry, Barvet. I'm mixing them all. I'll lean on you as an accountant to help me with the percentages there, but that sounds like a 20%, around 20% increase, roughly. I mean, that's not insufficient.
No, it's definitely not insufficient. Whether or not that will remain steady throughout the year, though, is to be seen. There's been some changes in terms of how we process applications with categorical eligibility, and we may be seeing more applications coming in through that process at this point versus further down in the year.
Okay, so the proposal that you've presented to us today took into account a 20% increase that you've already seen.
It took into account about a 30% increase.
30%. Okay. Okay. So this is a bit. This isn't directly EUSP related, but we've heard some concerns about the federal government limiting the availability of federal LIHEAP money. Can you tell us what the status is of that to the best of your knowledge?
So we are being told to proceed as if we will be funded at the same funding as previous years. We did submit our plan early. That was a suggestion that was made. It's usually due September 2nd. We submitted our plan in August, and our plan was approved on September 2nd. The strategy behind that was that if the plans can be approved sooner because of limited staff, that when those funding allocations come, that we'll be able to access that money October 1.
Okay, and so have they given you different numbers for low-income levels? I know they also establish low-income level the standards in the OHEP offices in the federal level. Are they the same too, or have they changed them at all?
So they have not been released this year.
So you're just using the ones from last year?
We're basing it off of the census data.
Okay. All right. You're already seeing an increase in the number of people who are applying. I noticed that you maintain your application, your outreach budget at the same level as prior years. Is that going to be sufficient in light of new customers attempting to participate, or do you foresee a need to increase that number?
No, we are prioritizing to the extent possible that funds go towards bill assistance in arrearage retirement. The $200,000 for outreach, which has been consistent, last year we dropped it a little because of trying to stabilize from categorical eligibility. We believe that will be sufficient for our local offices. We're seeing a lot of customers coming through from the department's One App benefit, which rolled out in July, which is OHEP is part of, so customers can now apply for a variety of benefits with one application, which is really streamlining and simplifying the application process. And it doesn't require them to submit information and documentation that we already have as a department.
That's actually pretty good. So, is it safe to say that a portion of the increase you're seeing now is tied to that program operating as opposed to what we've been talking about earlier, which is the potential of new customers who have never participated with the program before applying because they've lost their positions at the federal level?
So what we're seeing at this point is new applications coming in as a result of categorical eligibility. These are households that, for the most part, have always been eligible for energy assistance, but because of the application process previously being very burdensome, never made it through to actually get benefits.
Okay, so these are not first-time applicants
No, we're not seeing first-time applicants at this point.
at this point. Okay.
Yeah, I would add that the One Up, which is a very simplified version of the prior application, is easy to use, and we're seeing application increases across our program areas. Right now, applying doesn't necessarily mean you are eligible, but I think the fact that people are able to get through the application so that we can determine eligibility on our end is very important and something that we are very happy about as well.
Okay, and my last question, I know I've asked a bunch already. As part of your work with the utility companies on weatherization, on issues related to what I'll call emergency situations, where customers are facing, termination fairly quickly, and they come to you for assistance, are you facing any challenges? Are the utilities working with you smoothly? Is everything going smoothly, or is there anything you have to report?
Yeah. We've actually been working very well with our utility partners. They're very responsive, even when we encounter some challenges. One thing I will lift up is that we are working with BGE to do a data match for some of those households that are categorically eligible, but the department does not have their utility information to be able to process their benefits, and they have not responded to the department's efforts to collect that. So we're hoping to close that gap through that pilot. And BGE was chosen because they are our largest provider in terms of customers who receive energy assistance in the state of Maryland.
Okay, so for that pilot, you just started it?
It's just getting underway.
Okay.
Lots of data sharing agreements and things on both sides that had to be executed.
Okay. All right. So I guess what I'll ask then for next year, is it? I'm assuming it's the 12-month pilot. Or,
Uh, At this point, it'll be just the first 6 months,
okay.
and then we will examine whether or not we will continue.
Okay. So I'll ask then that you could just work with our technical staff and parties perhaps in your work group, just to let them know, and if there's some issue that comes up, you can let us know.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Barbe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, do you need more people to implement all of these policies to make it work right for your customers?
So our network of agencies, we have 20 statewide that provide services at the local level, received their first increase in 4 years for fiscal year 26. They received a 5% increase in their budgets. I think with some of the technology implementations through categorical eligibility, it's making the work more efficient. But as we increase and expand out to be connecting customers to community solar, I think there will be a need to be able to have more staff in some of the local offices.
Well, OHEP has always been one of my favorite agencies for over 10 years, and I appreciate the work you do, and I'm very happy that this administration has increased the amount of money that you're receiving. But I personally feel that when it comes to proper customer interface and helping people, more people is preferable to fewer people, notwithstanding, the importance of mechanization and better software. One of my concerns for the last 10 years in this issue area has been renters who are master metered. So talk to me about how things have been going in that segment of your population, and what we need to think about to do to improve things, because many times I would hear in my committee instances where the landlord got something wrong, not in electricity, more in water, where the water agency in Baltimore didn't send a bill for like 6 months, and then the landlord had to give it to the tenant, and they got evicted because they couldn't afford that big lump of payment. But talk to me about what the situation is with respect to master metered renters.
So the state has always, through energy assistance, been able to provide direct pay to customers who are in a master metered situation. It wasn't well known. I think the passage of the legislation that was implemented in October of 24 has helped with some of that. We have seen a 12% increase in fiscal year 25 over fiscal year 24 in direct pays. The majority of those are Montgomery and Prince George's County, which I think are, and while also receiving
Not the city?
Montgomery and Prince George's County make up the bulk of those increases, which we attribute to more customers being aware of the ability to apply for a direct pay.
Wow. I'm first of all, I'm happy that that's happening in Montgomery and Prince George's counties, but in my experience, a lot of the master metered renters are in the city of Baltimore, and they tend to be in the lower income categories. So we have to figure out a strategy to redouble our efforts there, I think. I'm not being critical of anybody. I just want to make sure that the success we've had in Montgomery and Prince George's is replicated in the city. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. McLean.
Good morning. You obviously heard staff and OPC's recommendations. Staff suggested, I believe it was a semi-annual reporting requirement. Does that impact you financially? Is that just like a click of a button and filing it? I'm sure it's more than that.
One of the things that when we reviewed the recommendations, I had reached out to staff just to offer a report that we already provide to the legislature on a monthly basis, which provides the data that I believe you're looking for. And if that would fulfill the requirement, it would be preferable to be able to provide that versus creating another reporting requirement.
Sure. Yeah, no reason to recreate the wheel. Now, how about OPC's suggestion of a caseworker approach?
So some of the agencies are set up because of the volume of customers that come in are very much a caseworker basis. The larger counties in the city of Baltimore work a little differently, but all of them have someone within their local agency that has the ability to work on what we call the more complicated cases. Part of the critical medical needs pilot and its design and the two counties or the two jurisdictions that it serves was based on staffing and the higher volume of those types of customers needing assistance. And so the critical medical needs pilot has specifically served Baltimore City and Baltimore County, and it's worked very well.
Okay, so in a nutshell, you're kind of doing it already in some of the larger populations. Okay. Based on the applications you've received so far, ma'am, I believe you said 66,000. How many have been approved? If you don't know, that's fine. I'm just curious.
I don't want to misquote. I look at data all the time. So we will provide that information
Sure.
back through staff. I'll have that
And
for you.
Do you, and again, I'm not trying to stump you here. Do you know what the average benefits have been so far paid out?
Again, I would, I
Okay.
would need to look. The average benefits for fiscal year 26 is higher than fiscal year 25. We did adjust benefit levels based on what the population we served last year, even with the increase. We were expecting to serve far more in fiscal year 25 based on what we saw happen in fiscal year 24. But we have seen through some technology enhancements that some of the applications that came through in 24 were actually duplicate applications of customers who had already been served, and they are now being they're now being system denied, so they're not showing in the application numbers. They're also not coming into those workers' queues to process, only to see that they've been, so they're able to focus on only those applications that need to be processed. And I will say we did see an increase in the applications that were approved last year, and I anticipate that will continue because of some of the other systems in place and being able to utilize documentation customers have already provided to the department.
Great, thank you. One of the, I guess, challenges that was referenced last year was training for the local administrating agencies. And I understand that there's been some improvements. I was wondering if you might be able to expand on what those improvements were.
Sure. So last year, before the fiscal year started, DHS administration visited all of the local agencies to find out what some of the pain points were. I was able to participate in many of those meetings, as was my colleague. We were able to hear about training needs as well as technology needs, and we focused very diligently on that this year. We did a all agency meeting in the fall, along with we re-implemented our annual training conference in May. The biggest thing has been really about standardizing process across the state, making sure that all of the local agencies have access to the information that they're able to pull for the customer versus requesting the customer resubmit. And then we also revised our operations manual to provide updated guidance to the local offices.
Thank you. You also referenced community solar. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your efforts to start enrolling people in that program.
So last year, the Public Service Commission, MEA, and DHS became one of the connector pilots. So we are working to implement the community connector, which is essentially technology to link eligible customers that receive energy assistance benefits through this technology to those companies that can help enroll. That's step one. That part of that is also educating our local agencies on the benefits of community solar. But then we are also working with the the Maryland Energy Administration on some of their A10, and I'm going to call it 3 projects, which have the ability to provide some free electricity based on these solar farms on closed-cap landfills and other brownfields. So we're hoping the first project should be online in 2027, that we'll be able to connect some of our most in need OHEP customers so that they're also receiving some free energy through those programs.
Last question, ma'am. With your outreach, I know your budget's obviously very limited, but is there any, I guess, preemptive outreach to try and reach people before they become, in a critical situation?
So we continue to stress that customers need to make regular payments on their bills. We're processing applications quicker, which hopefully also reduces the amount of arrearage customers have. We have seen since the pandemic more and more customers that had become accustomed to not making any payments. And I think as benefit levels go down, and they're no longer eligible for arrearages because of the 5-year rule. It's created a system where we are reaching out to other community partners such as the Salvation Army Fuel Fund, the local departments of social services, to try to make sure we can maintain service for those customers.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I would, on that last question, I would also add that I think the categorical eligibility has extremely, has been, have helped with the outreach, because we're able to actually identify individuals and enroll them without having them apply. In addition to that, I think one of the things that we're looking into is the possibility of automatic renewal for certain households, because if we are already SNAP enrolled and we have already had our budget approved, we're identifying certain populations that have whose income don't change much from one year to another, and we are considering about the potential for auto enrollment for that for those kind of populations as well. So,
All right, great. Thank you very much, sir.
thank you.
Okay, so regarding this recommendation that OPC made about this case management situation, if we adopted that as part of the order approving your plan, are you telling me that you can implement this with the staff and the relationships you got, or am I setting you up to fail if we adopt it?
It would be very difficult. I think some locals would be fine implementing that model. They pretty much operate that way now. Take Garrett County, for instance. But when you start looking at the Montgomery County, Prince George's County, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, even Hartford County, it would drastically reduce the number of applications that they could process without adding new staff, which just creates another problem.
Okay. And you said that one of the results of categorical eligibility is there's been an increase, and to your mind, these are people that were always qualified, but just for whatever reason, had never applied. Was there some geographical emphasis that came from that? I mean, were there more in certain parts of the state, or is this across the state?
So I would have to look at the data, but I can give you from my perspective, because I also serve as the director of the Department of Social Services in Allegheny County. And historically, Allegheny County's Office of Home Energy Programs always had far fewer, significantly fewer customers compared to our SNAP customer database, even being operated by the same agency. So there was definitely a disconnect there. So I can pull that data for you if you would like and provide it to the staff, but my guess is it's going to show statewide.
Okay, all right. And then you remarked about the fact that you view community solar as a positive part of the situation. We sometimes run into siting difficulties when it comes to solar projects. They're usually the utility scale ones, but I think it also includes some of the community solar ones. And I've always thought that there was a distinction between a solar project that was just going to put power on the grid for everybody and a community solar project, which in my mind was closer connected to the affected community. Is the department willing to make some communication to the local government entities who tend to be the folks opposed to the siting of these solar projects to indicate that if it's a community solar project, that there actually might be some benefits to their constituents that they're not necessarily aware of.
I would say again, we are always open to partnership. Where we can help educate people across the spectrum about the importance of community solar. We do believe in energy efficiency, and I think that is although we focus on providing that bill assistance, we understand that the more durable solution is reducing energy costs so that they're affordable for all, right? So so we do support energy efficiency measures wherever they are, including solar, and we're happy to partner with anyone on any kind of education projects.
Okay. Now, I noticed that Mrs. Thomas Weinberg is the acting director. Is there a plan in place to get a permanent director?
That is correct. Yeah, we have actually selected a director who's going to be starting on October 1st.
And can you tell us who that is, or is it to be announced?
So by now it's a public information. So Rigel Moore is our next director for OHEP. She's currently serves as the director of the OHEP office in Baltimore City, and has done tremendous work in that area. And so we bring her to the state to expand expertise statewide.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, so we're going to take this under advisement, and we'll be getting something out relatively shortly, though. So with that, I guess we're adjourned for today.
Thank you.